Hi, it's Grace Toomey, Councillor of the Central Region, coming from you at the United Nations here in New York for the Rights of the Indigenous Peoples Permanent Forum. We've been here for the past 2 weeks listening as well as taking part in statements and conversations around the rights of Indigenous people. So this week we presented several papers. So the first paper I presented on was around housing. It involved the crisis of housing in New South Wales, as well as the lack of stock in New South Wales, and also support around our local Aboriginal Lands Councils who manage our reserves and missions that have social housing, and the lack of support around the upkeep and maintenance of the housing on the reserves. The second paper I presented on was one of the 6 mandated areas. In that paper I spoke around both royal commissions, one being the deaths in custody, and to date not many recommendations have been followed through, with over 500 deaths still being recorded since that paper was handed down. I also spoke around the Bringing Them Home report, which was tabled in 1996 with only 10 recommendations that have been handed down, and still with the high removal of children in the state of New South Wales. This week Councillor Dennis also presented 2 papers, the first paper being around the activation of our land claims and the backlog of the land claims, and the need for government to ensure that more land claims are completed with the amount of staff that are there to process. It would take over 20 years for the current land claims to be processed, with the amount of time that is spent on it, with the amount of funding that government is spending on it at the moment. The second paper that Councillor Dennis had tabled was around water rights for our communities. Particularly what's happened with the Barker River with the community in Menindee, and how there's been lack of government support since that incident a few years ago, and also the support for our local Aboriginal Lands Councils in funding and having the confidence in funding them for around water initiatives. This week we also met, myself, Councillor Dennis, and CEO Yusuf Dean met with the Special Rapporteur and the Apache people that were attending the forum to discuss the possible destruction of their sacred sites at Oak Flats with Rio Tinto, which is a similar situation to what has happened with Juukan Gorge in Western Australia. The Special Rapporteur also spoke highly of his concern with the Australian government around the high incarceration of youth in Australia, which we'd also raised in my paper. So overall, the 2 weeks at this forum has been really great. It's meeting all the people from all over the world, the Indigenous people, hearing their issues and concerns, which are very similar to ours in Australia. I think it's really important for New South Wales Aboriginal Lands Council to attend forums such as this, to put our issues on the table as well as hear the others, and be a voice, or stand together and be a voice. We may all speak different languages, but we all have the same issues and problems, and we all come together at this forum, which is really lovely.